I was 17, the first time my mother looked me straight in the face and said, "You ruined this family." We were sitting at the dinner table, the same one my father had refinished when I was a kid. The smell of burnt chicken still hung in the air. My younger brother stared down at his plate. My father didn't say a word. And just like that, I became the mistake. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just felt something inside me shut off, like a light going dark in a room no one planned to enter again. My name is Emily Carter, and this is how my family lost me long before they ever came crying at my door. How it started. I grew up in a middle-class suburb in Ohio. White fence, 2 cars, church on Sundays. Appearances mattered more than truth in our house. My parents loved my brother, Jason. He was athletic, charming, loud. I was quiet, bookish, always too sensitive, according to my mother. From a young age, I learned that love in our family was conditional. When I got straight A's, my mother would say, "Good, that, expected." When Jason failed a class, she'd say, "He's just finding himself." Still, I tried. God, I tried. The secret that changed everything. When I was 16, I started working part-time at a diner to save for college. That's where I met Mark. He was older, 22, a mechanic. He laughed at my jokes and listened when I talked. He made me feel seen. I know now how naive I was. When I found out I was pregnant, my entire world collapsed in a bathroom stall at school. I stared at the test like it was written in a foreign language. Positive. I told Mark first. He went silent, then said, "I'm not ready for this." 2 weeks later, he blocked me. The night I told my parents. I waited 3 days before telling my parents. I rehearsed it 100 times. My mother's face turned white, then red. "You embarrassed us," she screamed. "What will people think? You ruined everything we worked for." My father just sat there, jaw clenched. Jason laughed nervously and said, "Wow, classic Emily." That was the night my mother said the words that would echo in my head for years. "You are the reason this family is falling apart." I wasn't allowed to be a victim. They didn't ask if I was scared. They didn't ask if I was okay. They asked how I planned to fix the mess. Their solution. I was to give the baby up for adoption quietly. No college, no support, no shame on the family name. When I refused, my mother said, "Then you're on your own." Thrown out at 17. They didn't kick me out with yelling or drama. They packed my clothes in garbage bags. My father handed me $200 and said, "Don't come back until you fix your life." I was still a minor. I slept on a friend's couch that night, holding my stomach, whispering apologies to a baby that hadn't even been born yet. That was the last time I saw my family for years. Survival mode. Pregnancy was brutal. I worked 2 jobs. I dropped out of high school and got my GED. I cried in grocery store bathrooms when I couldn't afford everything. I gave birth alone. No mother holding my hand, no father in the waiting room. Just me and my daughter. I named her Lily. When I held her, something inside me hardened and healed at the same time. I swore she would never feel unwanted. Building a life from nothing. Life didn't magically get better, but it moved forward. I worked nights, took online classes, got a small apartment with peeling paint and thin walls. Eventually, I earned a nursing degree. Then a better job. Then stability. Years passed. I watched from a distance as my parents posted perfect family photos online. Jason went to college, dropped out, went again, failed again. No one ever apologized to me. And I stopped expecting it. The woman I became. By 30, I owned a modest house. I had savings, a career, a daughter who laughed easily and loved fiercely. I didn't talk about my family much. When Lily asked about grandparents, I told her, "They're not safe people." And I meant it. The knock that changed everything. It was raining the night they came back. Lily was asleep upstairs. I was folding laundry when I heard a knock. I opened the door. And there they were. My mother looked smaller. My father looked older. Jason stood behind them, eyes red. My mother started crying instantly. "Emily," she sobbed, "please, we need your help." That was the first time in 13 years she used my name like it mattered. I didn't invite them in right away. I just stood there, holding the doorframe, watching the people who abandoned me try to step back into my life like they hadn't shattered it. My mother's mascara ran down her cheeks. My father wouldn't meet my eyes. Jason looked broken. Why they came back. Their story spilled out in pieces. My father had lost his job years earlier and never fully recovered. Medical bills crushed them. My mother's health was failing. Jason had taken over the family finances and destroyed them. Gambling, loans, debt collectors. They were losing the house. They needed money. They needed me. The audacity. My mother grabbed my hands. "You're doing so well," she said. "We're family, you owe us." That's when I finally spoke. "I was 17, I said calmly. "You called me a mistake. You let me leave pregnant and alone." Silence. Jason whispered, "We thought you'd fail." The truth I had been waiting to say. I invited them in. Not out of kindness, but closure. I told them everything. The hunger, the fear, the nights I cried myself to sleep holding a newborn, the birthdays they missed, the graduations, the life they chose not to be part of. My mother tried to interrupt. I didn't let her. "You don't get to cry now," I said. "You had your chance." My decision. I did not give them money. I did not save their house. I did not rescue them. But I did give them something. The truth. "You taught me survival," I told them. "You showed me who not to be." My father cried quietly. Jason apologized. My mother begged. And for the first time, I felt nothing. The door closes. I walked them to the door. My mother turned back. "Can we at least meet Lily?" I didn't hesitate. "No." I closed the door. And I slept peacefully that night. What happened after? They lost the house. Jason moved away. My parents live quietly now. They send letters sometimes. I don't read them. What I gained? I gained peace. I gained strength. I gained a daughter who knows she is loved unconditionally. And sometimes, late at night, I think about that 17-year-old girl holding garbage bags of clothes. I wish I could tell her this. You didn't ruin the family. They failed you. And you survived anyway. I stood there with the door half open, rain dripping from the edge of the porch roof, staring at the three people who once decided my life was disposable. My mother was the first to break. She cried the way people do when they believe tears will fix everything. "Emily," she said, her voice shaking, "please, we didn't know where else to go." I didn't invite them inside. Not yet. For a moment, I just watched them, really watched them, and felt something strange. Not anger. Not sadness. Distance. Seeing them as strangers. My mother looked older than I remembered. Her hair was thin, unevenly dyed. Her hands trembled when she reached for me. My father had lost weight. His shoulders were slumped, like gravity had finally caught up to him. Jason, my golden child brother, stood behind them like a ghost of the boy who once laughed while I cried at the dinner table. "Can we come in?" my father asked quietly. I nodded and stepped aside. The living room truth. They sat on my couch, the same couch Lily and I used for movie nights and pancake Sundays. They didn't belong there. My mother kept glancing around the house. "You did well," she said, forcing a smile. "This place is nice." I almost laughed. 13 years of silence, and that's what she led with. Why they really came. It didn't take long for the truth to come out. My father lost his job after downsizing. Then came medical bills, my mother's surgeries, credit cards. Jason tried to help. Instead, he gambled. He borrowed money in my parents' names, took loans, lied. The house I was kicked out of was being foreclosed. They had nowhere to go. And somehow, after all those years, they remembered I existed. The words that changed everything. My mother reached across the coffee table and grabbed my hands. "We're family," she said desperately. "Families help each other, you owe us." That word. Oh. Something inside me finally snapped into place. "I owe you," I repeated calmly. They all went quiet. I finally spoke my truth. "I was 17, I said. I was pregnant. I was terrified." My mother opened her mouth. I raised my hand. "No, you talked enough back then. Now it's my turn." I told them everything. How I slept on couches, how I skipped meals so my baby could eat, how I cried alone in hospital rooms, how I worked double shifts while studying at night, how I watched Lily take her first steps without grandparents cheering her on. My father started crying halfway through. Jason stared at the floor. My mother shook her head, whispering, "We didn't know." I leaned forward. "You didn't want to know." The moment of accountability. Jason finally spoke. "We thought you'd mess it up," he admitted. "We thought you'd come back begging." That one sentence explained everything. They didn't abandon me by accident. They expected my failure. And now they were standing in my house, surrounded by proof they were wrong. Their apologies came too late. My father apologized first. Then Jason. My mother cried harder than all of them combined. "I was scared," she said. "I didn't want the neighbors talking." I nodded slowly. "And that mattered more than your daughter." She couldn't deny it. The question I knew was coming. My mother wiped her face and whispered, "Can you help us?" I looked at the stairs, where Lily was sleeping peacefully. I thought about the girl I was at 17. And I made my decision. My answer. "No," I said. Not loudly, not angrily. Just honestly. "I won't give you money. I won't save the house. I won't fix the consequences of choices you made." My mother collapsed into sobs. Jason whispered, "What are we supposed to do?" I stood up. "What I did," I said. "Figure it out." One final boundary. As I walked them to the door, my mother turned back one last time. "Can we at least meet Lily?" she asked. "She deserves grandparents." That was the easiest decision I've ever made. "No," I said firmly. "She deserves better." I closed the door gently. And locked it. Aftermath. They lost the house. Jason moved out of state. My parents now rent a small apartment. They send letters sometimes. Apologies, regrets, excuses. I don't open them. The life I built. Lily is thriving. She's kind, confident, loud when she needs to be. She knows she is wanted. She knows she is loved. And that is my greatest revenge. What I learned. Family is not who gave you life. Family is who refuses to abandon you when life gets hard. I was never the mistake. I was the reminder of everything they didn't want to face. And when they finally came back crying at my door, I had already moved on. And